anytime you ever get an infection, the first thing you should do to try to get rid of it or get it under control is shut it off. Shut off the machine, right, Jim?
Yeah, well, with my forensic hat on, I don't want you powering it off until I get a chance to take a look at it. But
Okay.
AVG had an interesting blog post this past week about a newly discovered Android malware sample that they were seeing mostly in China, and relatively few infected devices as of the time they wrote it up. But it was had some interesting characteristics. They call it Android power off hijack. And basically what this malware does is it hijacks the power off process. So when you hit the power button and tell your Android device to shut down, it goes through a series of steps. It turns the radios off. It sends the shutdown command. It blanks the screen. Whatever all it does. Well, this malware intercepts some of that, and what it'll do is it'll blank the screen and turn the sound off so that the user believes that the system is shut off, but it will continue to operate. So it'll continue to have the ability to make and receive phone calls that the user doesn't know anything about, to send and receive SMS messages, to record audio, to record video, take pictures, and ship all of this off to the bad guys. And the only way that the user would necessarily know that this happened is that the battery would actually be drained a little more quickly than you'd expect if the thing was completely powered off. It does require getting root permissions. So if you have not rooted your phone, then this probably isn't going to work unless somebody else adapts this and finds some privilege escalation exploit that I'm not familiar with at the moment. So if you haven't rooted your phone, if you're not going to Chinese app stores, at the moment you're probably okay. But Tim Strazier from Lookout was commenting in a mailing list that I'm on with him that while this is one of the first times that we've seen this technique used, it isn't the absolute first time. Something similar was done by the BigServe.A malware a few years ago in one of the infected Droid Dream cleaners, something that claimed to clean up a Droid Dream infection. An app that claimed to clean up the Droid Dream infection actually used some similar techniques. So yeah, I like the first paragraph of the AVG blog post. So, they're talking about in Hollywood movies we see the hackers, that can turn on the mobile devices or track you even when the thing is turned off, and that's fiction. But this particular malware, it makes the user believe that it's turned off. So,
well, in our labs we see like 3,000 some odd Android samples coming in every single day, and yet almost every single one of them again requires that you've gone off market, right? So like you said, not all of them require root like this one does, but if your enterprise mobility management tool lets you say don't allow rooted devices, and don't allow users to untick that or tick that checkbox that says allow off-market applications, you largely avoid most of the malware problem.
Yep, absolutely.
And we've been saying that over and over again. So Jim, any indications specifically where this malware was hosted? It
doesn't say, but it is in China. I mean, if you look through some of the code, some of the comments and some of the log stuff is in Chinese. So it appears to have been primarily targeted at the Chinese to this point, and hosted in Chinese third party markets.
And any indications of the motivation behind it, what the purpose might be?
The malware has the ability to do a lot of things. It does all the nasty things that the bad guys like to do on the mobile devices.
Yeah. Okay. Probably not keep your apps up to date, however, right?
No.
So, you know, the thing that came to mind, and you know, you mentioned send and receive SMS. I was wondering if perhaps they'd found any filters to intercept, to facilitate, you know, bypassing the two-factor authentication or using an SMS as a back channel. Technically, I don't really think of that as, you know, as a two-factor authentication, but at least it's, you know, it's sort of a back channel path that unfortunately through means like this can be intercepted. So better, but probably not the best way to do, you know, strong authentication. All right, very good, Jim. That's, you know, we'll have to keep an eye on this type of thing. And then, oh, by the way, I presume that a hard shutdown would bypass this. Is that correct?
That's not entirely clear. It should. One of the things that they suggested was actually pulling the battery, which is fine if you're using a device where you can get to the battery. These days, a lot of the devices, you know, you can't get to the battery. My phone, I can't get to the battery. My tablet, I can't get to the battery. So,
yep, it's becoming more and more the case. The batteries, well, the battery technology's improved a lot. So, I think less and less they consider it to be a necessity. And if you run out of battery, you just kind of plug in another USB thing so you can get infected that way, right?
I think to help with that situation, just give your phone to your kids, let them watch some YouTube videos. It'll probably be dead in like 2 hours. So you can be sure.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, I guess. I mean, like, giving somebody advice saying, hey, you know, hard shut off. I mean, wouldn't the advice be get rid of the virus?
Good idea. Okay, so thank you, Jim.